I guess you can never put too much water in here. But that broke down so quickly as soon as I added water. Maybe it's sandy. What he's come up with. That. Full of mud. Full of clay. Two things happen with tennis balls. Number one, I drive over them in my truck, so that splits them, and he'll pick it up and just keep shaking it until it breaks in two. And this one here, what's happened is it's gone under the lawnmower, because then they sit in the grass and I don't see them when I'm mowing, and it hits them, chops them up even further. Bono, my boy. What's this one? So there's fragments of tennis ball like that all over the yard, and I've got a big bag of 100 tennis balls that I got from the tennis club. They're practice balls, and they get to a point where they're not even suitable for practice, not even for the juniors, and they're still good looking tennis balls, like I'd play with them, but not good enough. So they gave me a bag of 100, and I've used about 10, so I think for the rest of the time out here we're not going to run out of tennis balls. And what I usually do is when I've got company out here, I'll pick up all of these scungy, ridiculous looking bits, put them into a bucket and put them up on a shelf out of the way, and just bring out 10, for example, brand new unmolested tennis balls. So yeah, I will be having a drink and I will be having a smoke, and I don't have any guilt about that, you know. In fact, a lot of the anxiety and problems that people have is caused because there's folks around that like to control you with guilt, and because in their mind that puts them on a higher plane than you are, and so you are lesser because they're judging you. And in reality that's not the case at all, but you just have to be wise to it and not accept it, because it's the problem is that you take that guilt on. You know, if they want to project guilt to you, that's fine, let them go for their life. But as soon as you take it on and make it a part of you, then it starts affecting you, then it starts fucking you up. And so alcohol, tobacco, the people that have given me the most grief over it are people that have given up those two addictions. So ex-smokers love to look down because they think they're superior because they've given up the habit, therefore they're a better person. Whereas tobacco has been an enjoyable commodity for thousands and thousands of years, as long as humanity, as long as it started growing, people figured it out. But recent times, the last 100 years, it's turned into a commodity that kills you because of all the chemicals and the way it's processed. So people will try to guilt you up and bring you down. Alcohol, people who have given up alcohol turn down their noses and if you're a drinker, or if you're somebody who's liking to have a drink, or even if you're just somebody who happens to be having a drink. And it's the recovering alcoholics are the worst of the worst. They put you down, they put the guilt on you. They make you feel less, oh, the word I was looking for was inferior, so I'll take that back. It makes you feel inferior. Because you're having a drink of alcohol. What? You know? Some of my best memories have involved alcohol, and they've usually involved campfires, music and good friends. The place where I'm at my most content, happiest, most relaxed, and probably the most myself has been with my mates, having a big piss up, cigarettes, around a campfire, a battered up old guitar that didn't matter if it got hot or burnt, sitting in close in the freezing cold, singing traditional Australian songs and rock songs and pop songs and folk songs and Americana and British pop and French bloody gypsy folk, and playing tunes and melodies and just smashing them out one after the other, slowly getting more and more wasted. Maybe have a bit of weed, continue to drink, continue to smoke, sit up until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, taking the piss out of each other, okay? Not in a guilt trip way, not in a condescending, patronising, looking down at your nose, inferior kind of way, just taking the piss out of each other, being sarcastic, you know? See who can humiliate you the most. And then when they've done that, they pick you up again. And they go, it's okay, mate. We're just having a go. But we're just pulling your leg, that's the one. That's the Australian way. That's what we do. That's what forms our identity as blokes and mates, and, you know. And the girls are welcome, you know, they come along. We need them there. They do it. They're as bad as the worst of us. I don't have a girlfriend. That's by design, not circumstance. Maybe, you know, while we're having our little heart-to-heart and our confessions here in the clay mine, in the pit, see what other skeletons I can unearth while I'm digging away. And quite a number of people on my social media that are really dodgy. In a funny way. I love watching it. Like, they're just... Some of them are as dumb as dog shit. Some of them are as bright and intelligent as a person could be. And I'm talking women here. And some of them are bright and intelligent and as switched on as a woman, as a person, a human can be, but choose to come across as dumb as dog shit. They're the ones I like. I fall for it every time. But some people don't realise that everybody on their social feed can hear the conversations they're having with all their friends, unless they're private, but a lot of them just have them on their front page for the whole world to see. And I witnessed one between two women where they were talking about the ideal scenario is to meet a guy who owns his own property, has paid it off, who doesn't carry any debt, and all you have to do is move in with him for 3 to 6 months and you can have a claim on his property. In 6 months you can claim up to half of it. This is how the conversation went. After a year, definitely, you claim as a spouse, and you can claim so much that he'll have to sell the property in order to pay you out. And then he's got to start again with whatever. So then the conversation went along the lines of all men are misogynists, all men are wife beaters, all men are spouse beaters, all men are belligerent, violent creeps of the earth, and all men deserve it. So it went along those lines. Yeah, I've got those people on my social media feed. Believe me, it's better to keep your enemies close and know what's going on in their minds and in their schemes, because some of these women have tried to crack onto me. You know, they've tried it with me. So I've never let them move in. Whereas if I met somebody I really loved and ticked all the boxes and was absolutely selfless and supportive and, you know, everything that you hope for in a woman, I don't know, it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. They're not out there. So I choose to go without, and I do have great relationships with women. Some of my dearest friends are single mums who choose not to have men in their life, not for that reason, but just because they've been burnt, you know, and they're just trying to get their kids through high school and into university and hopefully in a great job, and that's their role fulfilled as a mother. It shouldn't be that way. It should be the father in there supporting and encouraging and providing and paying, and, you know, but it's not. It's not. There's some real losers out there, and some of those losers have at times been some of my closest friends. These guys, I've dropped them because the way they treat their spouses, and you know, I welcome those women into my village. There's never any sort of sexual or romantic or anything like that. It's not about that anymore, not at my stage of life. It's all about doing the right thing as a village person and in the community that you find yourself, taking responsibility as an elder, as an uncle, as a surrogate father, and mostly just as a great friend, you know. That's what it's all about. That's what friendship is about. Gee, I'm preaching it, aren't I? Anyone would think I grew up in a church. But yeah, we've had this conversation here, YouTube, and I hope you got something out of it. I'm going to leave this clay mine at least until Easter, which is 4 weeks' time, when the crew come over, so that I can at least show it off to somebody, because I won't have any visitors between now and then. And also for the kids, it'll be a good lesson. I can show them the roots, and I can say, well, I had to choose between clay and breaking roots of that tree right there, and I wasn't willing to risk it. And I can get plenty of clay from just what I'm seeing around here. I can probably get another 5 or 6 tubs full of clay like that one I did today. So I'm not going to miss out. And besides, if I just use the one clay mine over and over and over and keep going deeper, what happens when I do decide to fill it in? You know, all of this dirt's going to come back in here, but it's going to be sunken down. It's going to be a big hole, and you'll trip over it in the dark, and there'll be water pooling in there, and it just, I don't know. And I can't really plant another tree here because I'm too close to the trees, and there's one just near the trailer there, so I'm not going to just take my crayons and scribble all over the picture, beautiful picture I just drew, and throw it in the bin. I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to share it with my family, and in the meantime I'm going to think about finding an alternate site somewhere on this property. There's got to be one. I've got one in mind, but it's right in the middle of the communal area. But and also, it's not in the shade. It's out in the broad sunlight, 14 hours a day, direct sun. So that's not much fun. But anyhow, this has worked as an experiment, as a prototype. I've got a bucket of clay, and I'll make something out of that. I'm going to continue digging out enough clay. I'll put another bucket here, and I'm really thinking my first project will be a fire pit. And I have to go away and think about that and look at some videos and see what other people do and how they do it, and try not to fall into any of the pitfalls that they fall into. Get a product that's actually working and stay there for years and years and years and years and years. What are you looking at? Again. See, I've chirped up a little bit now that I got all of that off my chest. I feel a bit more resolved within myself. I feel a bit better about myself. I feel happy about my choices and my approach to life and drugs. Not drugs, got no drugs, but substance abuse. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, eh? I think I might turn off here, and I don't know what more I can do. I might put an epilogue on a couple of days or weeks down the track, but this is as far as I've got. This is as far as I'm prepared to go. And my name is Kero. I'm broadcasting to you from Camp Zero in Australia on the east, and but further away from the east going towards the west because it's so fucking dry, and we need the rain. They forecast some in 2 days time. We'll see what comes of that. Even then they're only forecasting 10 millimetres, which is not even an inch. So I don't know what we're going to do this year, honestly. But I might move you on to another project, which I'm going to plant a lawn right there, and I might start you up on that one for a while and get away from all of this clay mine, clay pan. I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there. He is covered in clay. And he's going to keep digging in there until he finds it, eh? But he can't go right to the bottom because he'll... No, baby boy. I do have to go in there. I'm going to get all dirty now.